Welcome back to Economics A-Level class. We continue with the topic perfect competition. And when we talk about a perfect competition, we're talking about a market that involves large numbers of sellers, large numbers of producers selling homogeneous products, which all information are accessible to each firm within the industry. So that makes it a perfect competition. So we talked about there are also price takers. So today's focus is going to be on demand and revenue in the perfect competition. So I read further. Demand and revenue. It is an assumption of the model of perfect competition that there is a large number of sellers in the market. Assume that one of these firms decide to double output. Industry supply will increase, pushing the supply curve to the right. However, the increase in supply is necessarily very small because the firm is small. In fact, it will be so small that the resulting movement along the demand curve will be impossible to distinguish and the price will not change. In the perfect competition, because we say in the perfect competition it has large numbers of producers or suppliers of goods. So if a firm in that industry decides to increase its output, yes, it's going to shift the supply curve for that firm rightward, but it's not going to have any significant impact in output of that industry. That is the point they are making. As a result, the price will still remain the same and the quantity will not be impacted, which means no matter what happens with that firm, no matter what happens with that firm, no matter what happens, if the firm decides to increase its output, it's not going to have a significant impact in the output of the industry. That is the point they are making. As a result, price will remain almost the same. So we get to read further. This can be seen in figure 2. So we have figure 2, okay? This can be seen in figure 2. The area around the existing equilibrium point has been enlarged. An increase in supply by one firm has shifted the supply curve from S1 to S2, reducing the equilibrium price by AC and increasing equilibrium quantity demanded and the supply by CB. However, AC is so small that it has no effect on the overall equilibrium price, and it is impossible to draw two supply curve clearly enough to show this shift. So, like we said earlier, a firm has decided to increase its output. If a firm has decided to increase its output in a perfect competition, the output of that firm would increase, shifting the supply curve rightward, but it will not have any significant impact in the market output. That is the point. So looking at figure 2, this is the perfect competition. The equilibrium price is at OE and the equilibrium quantity is at OG. So this is the equilibrium point. So the equilibrium point has been enlarged to this because we are talking about a firm in that industry which has decided to increase its output. Because a firm in that industry has decided to increase its output, we are enlarging the equilibrium point. So this point has been enlarged to this. So a firm that is deciding to increase its output, the supply curve for that firm will shift rightward from S1 to S2, which means the price will fall from S to A by AC, and the quantity supply will be at CB. That is the point they are making here. So when you check AC CB, the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity, nothing changes here. We're still within the equilibrium point. So which means if a firm decides to increase its output, it's not going to have any impact on the price of the product. The price will still remain the same, and the firm will still continue to be a price taker because it's a perfect market. That is the point they are making here. I think the point is clear. So at OE, no matter what happens to the output of that firm, either increasing or reducing, the price will still remain at OE. That is the point. In agriculture, for instance, it would be surprising if the decision of one farmer to increase production of wheat by 2 times had any influence on the equilibrium price. This or extra output is so insignificant to the total supply that it cannot affect the market price for wheat. Of course, if all farmers were to double their wheat output, the price of wheat would fall by a very large amount. However, here we are interested only in the effect on price of the production decision of a single farm. So what they are saying is this: if in the industry, or a wheat farmer decides to increase its output of wheat, it will not have any impact on the price of wheat because it's only going to shift the supply curve of that wheat farmer rightward, but it's not going to significantly increase the output in that industry. So that means price will not be influenced. However, if all farmers within the industry, if all farmers in the wheat industry increases their output, it will definitely shift the supply curve rightward. As a result of that, it's going to have a significant effect on price. The price will definitely fall because an increase in output will shift the supply curve. An increase in output will shift the supply curve rightward from S to S1, bringing about a fall in the price, or a fall in the price of wheat from P1 to from P to P1, because there's going to be movement along this demand curve. Movement along this demand curve expanding as a result of what? An increase in supply. So an increase in supply will shift the supply curve rightward, then bringing about a fall in a contraction, bringing about expansion, bringing about expansion in the price of the expansion in the demand curve, which means there's going to be a fall in price. That is what they are saying here. But based on what we are talking about a perfect competition. So we are interested in talking about just a firm in that industry. Please get the point. If a firm in an industry decides to increase its output or decides to reduce its output, it's not going to significantly affect price in a perfect competition. But if all firms in the industry decides to increase their output, it will definitely shift the supply curve rightward, and as a result, there's going to be a downward slope in the demand curve, bringing about expansion in demand curve and a fall in price. That is about the perfect competition. So a firm in a perfect competition can therefore expand output or reduce output without influencing the price. The firm cannot choose to raise the price and expect to sell its product. It can lower its price, but there is no advantage in this, since it can sell its entire output at the higher market price. So, based on what we are still talking about, a firm in an industry can decide to increase its output, but it cannot influence price. Why? Because in that industry, it is a perfect competition, which means price is determined by the demand for and the supply of. So it's a firm, a single firm. A firm cannot single-handedly increase its output because it wants to increase or reduce price. Or a firm cannot single-handedly reduce its output because it wants to increase or reduce price. That is the point they are making there. So that means the demand curve is always horizontal, which is perfectly elastic. So which means prices are determined by the demand for and the supply of. So in a perfect competition, all firms in that industry are price taker. That is the point. So the demand curve facing a firm in a perfect competition. So whatever happens, the average revenue is always the same as the marginal revenue, which means it is perfectly elastic. There's nothing a firm will do. So here, towards the last day, if a firm sells an extra or marginal unit, it will receive the same price as for previous units, and therefore marginal revenue will be the same as the average revenue. So in a perfect competition, whatever happens to output in the firm, whatever happens to output, your average revenue and your marginal revenue will always be the same. Because in that industry, in that market, the firm's output cannot significantly impact on the quantity sold, on the quantity on the price paid or the quantity sold. So that means in a perfect competition, revenue is always determined by demand. That is the point here. So in a perfect competition, revenue is always determined by the demand, and price is always stable. Price is always stable because prices are always determined by the demand for and the supply of the product. So this is all about demand and revenue in a perfect competition. Thank you.